We are on to part 13 of our discussion of Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, and this is kind of the center of the book that brings everything together for further elaboration, of course, but let's explore the center. So here we're going to discuss that the good of a human being is excellence of the work of the soul, according to virtue. And here we're going to also take up that happiness is being at work of the soul, according to excellence or virtue. Right? Virtue is coming back from our discussion of political life. In discussing the work of simply living or nutrition, perception and reason, we are discussing the being at work of a soul that animates the body. Plant soul is purely nutritive. It just is responsible for life processes. Animal soul is nutritive and perception. It also engages in perception that motivates action. Human soul is nutritive, responsible for living processes, perceptive, motivates action, and human soul also thinks. It is responsible for reasoning and knowledge. Since we have argued that the good of something, like a pen or a human being, is just it's doing its work well, pen writing well with ink, or a human being living and acting according to reason, the good and happiness of a human being turns out to be its soul guiding the body under the guidance of reason, done well or with virtue. Right? A good human being is one that guides its actions by reason with excellence or virtue. One who does it poorly is not a good human being. And by good, we mean here fulfillment of what one is by nature. In other words, those whose souls and choices and actions are guided by rational thinking and knowledge with excellence or virtue live good and happy lives. That seems to bring together everything that Aristotle has given us so far. And this is our theoretical account as a result of our inquiry into human nature, which the most distinct element of which is reasoning that guides other elements that we share with other beings, like nutrition and perception. Aristotle's point is this: all human beings, insofar as they're human, live and act according to rational thinking. That is what makes them human. However, some do so well, and those are the happy persons. These are the persons with virtue or excellence, while others do this rational guidance of their actions poorly. And those persons are lacking in happiness. These are persons lacking in virtue. In sum, Aristotle claims that living the kind of a life that leads to use of rational thinking to guide one's choice is the goal and happiness of a human being. In this sense, we address the completeness of the human good, the highest good. But such a life would also have to be self-sufficient, in the sense that nothing would be lacking from it. Well, that seems to be the case with our definition of the human virtue, because this kind of a person of good rational judgment would have everything that makes a human life good. The right kind of friends, family, work, leisure, etc. But what if a person was unlucky and all sorts of tragedy happened to them? Natural disaster, death, and other trauma in the lives of those near them, etc. Aristotle's point is that a person with virtue in their soul, guidance by reason, would deal with such calamities better than a person without virtue, one who is not guided by rational thinking and knowledge. The trick to happiness, then, it would seem, is to live the kind of a life that a person develops reasoning with excellence, so that this reasoning guides all of their choices. But we must be more precise about what happiness is as the goal of our activities, as the certain state of the soul being at work, so that a human being's choices are guided by their rational thinking. Why would the soul not be guided by rational thinking? What is the soul like? And what is virtue in it like? For Aristotle, all of this becomes a matter of examining parts of the soul and asking about what sort of virtue belongs to those parts of the soul, if any. Subject matter of our next presentation. But maybe what I should mention here is this discussion of the soul. What's that all about? The ancients view matter as dead, as inanimate. And if it moves at all, or lives, it has to be, or acts, or thinks, all of this motion has to originate in the soul that animates matter. All right. So the soul is just that. It's just the source of various motions that a being undergoes. Right? That's all the soul means here.